Welcome to English 9, Judging the Validity of the Evidence Lesson 2, Part 3, Quarter 3, Week 8. I am Mr. Nelpon Sambalad and I'm your teacher for this course. We are now on the Part 3 of our lesson, and for the past two sessions, we have been talking about judging the validity of the evidence Lesson 2. So it is expected that after this lesson, you will have that certificate dealing with validity. So you have the certificate dealing on how good you are when it comes to judging the validity of the evidence Lesson 2. So for you to attain that certificate, let's find out what else do you need to know on judging the validity of the evidence Lesson 2. Let's talk about some considerations or parameters that you must really consider so that a text can be considered valid or reliable. The most essential learning competency for this session is judge the validity of the evidence. Lesson 2. According to the image, it's time to evaluate. Why? Why do we have to evaluate? Why is it the time to evaluate? Because accordingly, digital era has given way to rapid explosion of information in different media and platforms as it travels as fast as speed of light. As you are confronted to rely your data based on the materials that you've read or listened to, it is an integral task to filter or judge the truthfulness of the material as the online world is infested with millions of fake news or data. The following learning task will help you evaluate critically the validity of a certain text based on established parameters. So we are about to talk about the established parameters on determining the validity of a material listened to. So remember, we already studied knowing if the sentence or statement being presented to us contains factual information, subjective content, does it carries a fact in it or opinion, and you have learned also the skill when it comes to viewing, dealing with previewing, during viewing, and after viewing. You are now active listeners as well as critical thinkers as you try to make connections with the information that are presented in statements and connecting them with what you have known already. So this time, let's learn what are the parameters that you must know so that you will be really that good on evaluating the validity of evidence listened to. Okay? Read the following conversation and answer the questions below. According to DOH Region 4A Director Paula Paz and Sidionco, a total of 56,821 patients have already recovered from the virus in Calabarzon. There were only 5,521 active cases and are currently undergoing treatment in various health facilities in the region as of December 8, 2020. This could also be viewed on their website on ro4a.doh.gov.ph. Statement of Juan. I beg to disagree. I think it is different from the data that were shared to me by one of my friends in social media. There were pictures showing congested room filled with COVID-19 patients. Perhaps this would reach 100,000 if it would be average in the number of hospitals in Calabarzon. That's the statement according from or coming from Marites. Guide questions. Which of the two statements may gain your favor? That of Juan or Marites? State your reasons. So we are going to have Juan's statement. For Juan, made use of source. He's able to present data coming from the source. And at the latter part of the statement, you have the website where the information can be verified. If we will be choosing Marites' statement, we will just hold on to the opinionated statement or subjective content statement coming from her friend saying that there are pictures in social media showing that there are a lot of COVID patients in hospitals that can be equivalent to hundreds of thousands of patients as the number of hospitals in Calabarzon will be considered. But the statement of Marites is what? Anchored on subjective content. Unlike Juan's statement containing the source of the information, the data coming from the source, and the website. Okay, so let's proceed and find out what are the connections of those source of information, data, and website in our discussion for today. Okay. As technology has become commercialized and everyone can create and upload various information on the internet, validity and reliability of those can be compromised and misleading. Here are some points that we should take into consideration to check the validity and reliability of information. So please do take note of the following considerations when it comes to checking the validity and reliability of information. As what is said in in the text, technology has become commercialized and everyone can create and upload various information in the internet. So the more we should be validating and checking the reliability, validity of those information that we are reading or that we are viewing. Okay? So what are the considerations? First in the list, we have who is the author of the source? This question points out the credentials of the author. Is he or she a recognized expert in the field? Are they representing an organization? If so, what is the organization's mission and goals? If you're still unsure, try browsing the internet on the author or the organization he or she belongs. So you can instantly tell that the statement or sentence that is being presented to you or you listen to is valid and reliable as you hear there a name of a person who is an authority or an expert about what is being tackled in the statement. Okay? Next, how did the source get its information? This question refers to references used in the source. Look at a few of the references. Do they look like reliable sources of information? Does it look like the author is citing the source correctly? Use your best judgment in validating. So as you read articles, be it feature, science and health, opinion or editorial articles or written text, you will notice there the website where the statement is lifted from or where the text or passage, a sentence or two being lifted from. So where did the source get its information? Okay, how did the source get its information? Is it by a website? Is it from a book or what? So it's the same with your research class. As you are taught to what? As you are taught to do the bibliography, wherein you have there the list of all the references you used in your research. And of course, looking at the structure or the way how you arrange the information dealing with a certain reference will give the readers the assurance that the sources are really valid because you're able to plot the necessary information about the source or author of the references you used. Okay? So, how did the source get its information? So, going back to who is the author of the source, it is said there in the latter part that if you are uncertain regarding the name of the source, then you can always check the internet. It's the same with what? It's the same with a statement saying presidential secretary spokesperson Bongo announced that the following areas will be still under MECQ. So after hearing the statement, maybe you got confused for you have there the name Bongo or Senator Bongo as the presidential secretary, wherein you knew that it's not him. So if you are doubtful about it, of course, you can always check or verify your confusion, whether it is really Senator Bongo or the one that you have in mind, Mr. Hariroke. Okay? So the third consideration, what if the source you found doesn't have references? So this question pertains to further checking the validity of the source. See if you can fact check the information in other ways. For instance, if you're looking at a news article that quotes experts in a field, browse the internet on the expert's name and see what other information you can find on him or her. So that's what you are going to do if the source you've found doesn't have references. Okay? So whenever you read sports article, whenever you read news article, you have the names of experts that must be mentioned or that are quoting lines or two. Now, if you cannot check on where's the references dealing with those persons or the line or two that are mentioned in the text cannot be you cannot have the references for those, then what is advised to you is to what? Browse the internet on the expert's name and see what other information you can find on him or her. Okay? So as you take into consideration the following questions dealing with the information that you have in written text or what you have listened to, the more you can check or judge the validity of the evidences listened to, the more you can check how valid, how reliable the information are. Okay? Let's have the next slide. Look at the following example. We have here the statement of Juan and the DOH Region 4A Director Paula Paz and Sidionco is underlined because it is the author of the source. He, she is the authority mentioned by Juan in his statement. So, authority of the source, the expert, talking about the concern in the statement or the topic in the statement. And we have also ro4a.doh.gov.ph being underlined, for that is the reference. Okay? So when we determine the source as good, we say that it has validity. So when can we say that the source is good? If we have their what? If we have their the name of the authority, we have their the reference in the information or in the material listened to or viewed. So likewise, counter-checking the background of the author and source on the internet would greatly help establish the validity of a certain material. So you will be doing it as you are wanting to know how valid the material is, especially dealing with the names of the sources and the references. But if you will be asked instantly about the validity or reliability of the statement or of the material based on how is it structured or what is being presented to you, it's always good that you what? That you make yourselves active listeners as you listen to the information, or you do the process dealing with viewing, the pre-viewing, the during viewing, and after viewing so that you can make connections, or in short, be critical thinkers so that you can counter check the information or ideas you are listening to if they are really valid or reliable based on what you knew about it, as you try your very best to make connections. Okay? But if you are being given enough time, then of course, as what is being said there, you can always do the counter checking of the background or counter checking the background of the author and source on the internet. Okay? So again, when we determine the source as good, we say that it has validity. And always remember that you have to look for the author of the source and, of course, reference. Just like what you do in research or as you write something, you always what? You always give attribution to the sources that you use in your writing because if not, or even in speaking, you must really what? Give credits to the owners of ideas because if not, you will be charged of plagiarism. Okay? So let's have the next slide or the learning task. Read the following news articles published by Rappler on their website and accomplish the learning tasks that follow. Missing context: 23 million Southern Leyte Bridge built without a river. September 24, 2020, 5:47 p.m. Philippine time. The bridge, which was constructed before the term of President Rodrigo Duterte, was built to fix a road that was prone to collapsing. The photo of the bridge in the graphic was uploaded by GMA News Show 24 Horas. GMA reported on the bridge in October 2019. GMA's video report on this bridge, dubbed the Buena Vista Slab Bridge, was titled "Tulay na 23 million peso ang halaga, itinayo kahit walang ilog. Bridge that cost 23 million peso was constructed even without a river." The video cited the Department of Public Works and Highways DPWH statement that the bridge was the only way to fix the road, which was prone to collapsing due to soft soil underneath as well as creek or waterway in the lower part of the soil. In addition, the railings also serve to protect passers-by. The GMA report also featured a resident who attested to the way the road would keep collapsing. Rappler also reported on this bridge in 2016. DPWH District Engineer of Southern Leyte, Ma'am Margarita Junya, told Rappler that the section of the Bato Bontoc Road had already collapsed about 3 times due to the soil underneath that would dissolve during heavy rains. Thus, they resorted to building a bridge. Rappler also fact-checked supposed photos of the San Benedicto Bridge in Surigao, which turned out to be photos of structures located in other countries. Loriben Toquero, Rappler.com. Source: https www.rappler.com. Newsbreak fact check: Southern Leyte Bridge built without river. So let's have the next slide for the activity dealing with this uh, reading text. Learning Task 1. Statements below are taken from the article. Underline the parts which make the statement valid or reliable. 20 points. Number 1. The video cited the Department of Public Works and Highways DPWH statement that the bridge was the only way to fix the road, which was prone to collapsing due to subsoil underneath as well as a creek or waterway in the lower part of the soil. So what are we going to underline in the given sentence or statement that will validate or will really makes us believe that it is a valid or reliable statement. So we are going to have the video cited the Department of Public Works and Highways DPWH statement. So as the video cited it, then that serves as the source of the information pertaining to the statement given of the spokesperson or vocal person of DPWH. Okay? Number 2, DPWH District Engineer of Southern Leyte, Ma Margarita Junya, told Rappler that a section of the of Bato Bontoc Road had already collapsed about 3 times due to the soil underneath that would dissolve during heavy rains. Thus, they resorted to building a bridge. So what are we going to underline? We will have DPWH District Engineer of Southern Leyte, Ma Margarita Junya, told Rappler. So as we underlined it, we pointed out there the source of the information, Engineer Ma Margarita Junya. Okay? The expert coming from DPWH. Number 3, The GMA report also featured a resident who attested to the way the road would keep collapsing. So you have there the praise, the GMA report. So GMA is a TV station that has the mission vision of presenting fair news or equitable news, just news. So we are going to underline it. The GMA report, also a resident who attested, because that is what? That is a statement coming from the resident of the place living near the bridge, or the one who has witnessed the collapsing of the road. Okay? So we will also include it. A resident who attested as the source of information. Number four, Rappler also fact-checked supposed photos of the San Benedicto Bridge in Surigao, which turned out to be photos of structures located in other countries. So on number four, we are going to have Rappler also fact-check supposed photos. So you have there, of course, Rappler again is what? A well-known site or a news team that presents what? That presents quality news articles. So, given the word Rappler, already gives what? Gives thumbs up dealing with the validity or reliability of the statement. And you have there the fact check supposed photos, the action made of Rappler dealing with the photos. Okay? So remember, that's one of the things that you must do whenever you are doubtful about the information that is being presented to you or you're listening to. Okay? So done with learning task 1. Learning task 2. Watch or listen carefully to a news report and list down the details that you have heard from it. After listening, answer the following questions. Number 1, what is the news all about? 2, are all the information given by the reporter supported by valid sources? Support your answer. 3, cite some statements given by the reporter which are supported by valid sources. So for this learning task, I have there the link of a certain news video in YouTube. And the answer for number 1, India having the second wave of spreading COVID in a much larger scale. Number 2, are all the information given by the reporter supported by valid sources? Support your answer. Yes. You have there the mentioning of 5 scientists and the name of the department where they came from. And of course, the pointing out of the new variant of COVID. The number 3, cite some statements given by the reporter which are supported by valid sources. So we have there pointing out the new variant and the organization that detected it. And the second populous country is battling with a new variant of COVID, leading to 300,000 new cases a day, which is the highest number of cases per day, according to the scientists of NCCOG. Okay? So I hope you can come up with your own answers, for I already presented to you example on how are you going to answer the given questions. Okay? So let's have the next task. Learning task 3. Analyze the given information in Calabarzon COVID-19 tracker. Write 5 to 10 sentences that could summarize the given data. Provide source and reference to make your statements valid. Be guided by the rubric below. So we have there the infographic featuring Calabarzon's COVID-19 tracker. So you will be composing sentences, valid or reliable sentences, for they make use of sources. Okay? Let's have at least 3 examples. Region 4A Calabarzon has a total number of 34,345 cases of COVID, according to according to Regional Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit of Calabarzon, as officially released of Calabarzon COVID-19 tracker as of September 21, 2023 p.m. Second example, the total number of deaths in the region 4A Calabarzon is 840 as of September 21, 2020 at 3 p.m. as seen in Calabarzon COVID-19 tracker. For the meantime, as of September 21, 2020, 3 p.m., a total of 16,271 cases are considered active cases, or let's rephrase it, as of September 21, 2020, from Calabarzon COVID-19 tracker, there's a total of 16,271 active cases in the region. Okay, so all you have to do is to construct, compose sentences that make use of sources so that they will be valid and reliable statements. Okay, so I hope you can accomplish this activity. Check our Google Classroom. Okay, let's have the rubric so that the more you will be guided as you write your sentences. The rubric that you will follow for you to be guided writing your sentences contains the following criteria. Mechanics and grammar. Content contains minimal or no errors in spelling or grammar. Organization, logical progression of ideas from beginning to end. Strong connections between and among ideas are apparent. And evidence of understanding. Understanding of the topic is excellently executed in the summary by using important information from the infographics. Okay? I hope that you can construct quality sentences. Learning task 4. Identify whether the following sources are valid or not valid. Number 1, hearsays or gossips. Valid or not valid? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not valid. 2, site ending in .gov. Valid or not valid? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's valid. 3, site ending in .edu. Valid or not valid? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Valid. Number 4, site ending in .org. Valid or not valid? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Valid. Number 5. Post from unknown site. Valid or not valid? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not valid. So you have to confirm the site. Maybe the last post was made 10 years ago, so it's no longer valid. Okay? Just like what? Whenever you do the reading in the library. Na? Books written 10 years ago are being removed already from the shelves. Okay? Because there are what? Updates already. Okay? Number 6, educational institutions and their websites, valid or not valid? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, valid. Number 7, academic forums, valid or not valid? Valid. Okay, number 8, rants on social media, valid or not valid? Not valid. Going back on number 7, academic forums will be not valid, will be what? Valid. But of course, check for the credentials of those who are sharing information in the forum. Okay? Numbers 9 and 10, international journals, Google Scholar, valid or not valid? Valid. Okay, so then with learning task 4. Your ability to distinguish valid and reliable source is a foundational skill that is central to developing and analyzing arguments. These are the important points to consider in evaluating the reliability and validity of a source. So what are the parameters again? We have author of the source. Is she or he a recognized expert in the field? Are they representing an organization? If so, what is the organization's mission and goals? Second, source or sources of information. Does the author provide another reliable source to support his or her claim? If found on the internet, is the domain interface trustworthy? .gov, .org, .edu, etc. And lastly, the references or citations. Does the author provide citation from which his or her claims were taken? So those are the important things you need to remember when it comes to evaluating the reliability and validity of a source. We are now on the assessment part of our discussion of our lesson, directions. Read the following statements about the validity and reliability of the source. Write C if it's true and F if otherwise. Number one, a source that is biased is always unreliable and should be avoided. True. Number two, a book author must cite studies or other sources to be considered valid and reliable. True. Number three, reliable newspaper and magazine articles don't have bibliographies. Therefore, they don't have to cite sources to prove their claims. False. Number four, academic journals are not particular about the credentials of the authors they publish. False. Number five, information or post that is viral is always valid and reliable. False. Number six, famous social media personality is always a good source of reliable and valid information. False. Number seven, the information is unreliable without source. The information is unreliable without source. True. Number eight, a source that is good is valid. True. Number nine, audience is for whom the author intended the paper to be read or viewed. True. Number 10, counter-checking the credentials of the author source in the internet is important to verify the reliability of the information. True or false? It's T or true. Okay, done with the assessment part of our lesson. We are now on the reflection part of our lesson. So, in your pad paper, write your personal insights about the lesson and judging the validity of the evidence listened to using the prompts below. Of course, as I give answers, I would like you to provide your very own answers as I check the Google Forms. Hopefully, I will be reading other answers and not the answers that I'll be providing. Okay, number one. Knowing the factors to consider in identifying the validity and reliability of a material is important for judging the validity of the evidences in the materials listened to. It is important for readers to check whether the information presented is really valid because you will be definitely looking for the source or the author, the expert that talk about a certain topic in the statement, and of course, the reference where you can counter check if really, if really the source is what is from the group or if really the source mentioned such. Number two, I realized that counter checking of facts on the internet or additional resources is a skill that I must practice, that students must practice for them to always verify the validity or reliability of the source or of the information coming from the source. If really the source is what? An expert of the said field, okay, of his or her field. Number three, I need to be cautious on. I need to be cautious on the names of individuals and the materials listened to or viewed because maybe they are not the persons or focal persons or authorities that are mentioned in text or materials or in the statement listened to. So I must be cautious on checking checking for the fact in it. So I should, no, students rather, students should really make themselves knowledgeable just like copy readers. They are very much informed or aware of personalities, famous personalities coming from politics and other sectors in the society. Now, for them to what? To copy read the material or the validity or reliability of a material based on the facts in it or in the materials in them. Okay? So then with the reflection part. Thank you. Have a good day and God bless us all.